Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to be doing a live follow along video to release your hips. So I'm just going to hang on a moment or two to see if anyone joins in so that they can follow along as well. And while I'm waiting to start the little practice that we're going to do today, I just wanted to say that I am taking applications for my Strong Motion program, which is all about releasing and strengthening your hips and also working on some belly dance hip work as well. So if you are interested in joining me, please do comment below. And of course, if you're watching this on catch up as well, drop a comment or send me a private message if you're interested. I've only got 7 spaces open this time and I've already sold one of them. So actually 6 spaces only open. So let's get on with the movement practice. I won't delay anymore. What we're doing today is a short movement practice that I do every day just to release my hips and also to strengthen them and also to release them through a little bit of strength work as well. But we're going to be starting off with a muscle energy technique, which is fundamental to my program, and the muscle energy techniques come from biomechanics education, or at least that's where I've learned them, and I am in the process of training to be a biomechanics coach. So what the muscle energy techniques do is they work on the principle that our muscles, rather than being tight or short or some of these other things that we think our muscles are, they're actually just in spasm. And by spasm, it's something that you can't necessarily feel. It's not like a shaking spasm, something, the sensation that you can't necessarily feel, but it's there, but it can be released, and it can be released by doing a submaximal contraction, by a small contraction, just to send the energy signals from the brain to the muscles. Before we do that, I just want to do a little test, so please join in with me on this. What I want you to do is just sit up nice and tall and cross one leg over. If you can get it above the knee, great. And if it needs to be below the knee, if you've got really tight hips, that's totally fine. Just take a mental note of whereabouts your knee rests from the floor. You can even kind of check it yourself by taking your fingers and splaying the fingers and just seeing what distance your knee is from the floor. Just make a mental note of that for a moment. We're going to come back to it at the end of the sequence, and then check in with your other side, and you might find that one hip is different than the other. My left hip for this particular test is a lot more released than my right hip, something that I'm still working on through these techniques. But yeah, it's a lot better than it was when I first started doing them a couple of years ago, that's for sure. So now we're going to start off with the muscle energy technique. So you're going to lie on your back and take a moment to relax. What's great about these is that they are kind of relaxing and very, very, very low impact. So we're going to cross the leg over, and this may look similar to a stretch, but actually we're not going to be stretching. You're going to place your hand on your knee, and you're going to press your knee into your hand. Now this pressure is a very gentle contraction, about 20% of your maximum contraction. So let's just do a quick test to see what that 20% is, because it can be a bit difficult to find. First of all, you're going to press your knee as hard as you can into your hand. That's going to be 100%. Then you're going to do about half of that, so that's 50%. And then again, half of that is 25%, and just release that just a little bit, and that's your 20%. So we're going to hold this for about 20 seconds. So what I like to do is take a couple of deep breaths, take it as a moment to take a breath. If I'm doing this during my working day or perhaps at the end of the day, it's a really nice moment to breathe. And then I'm going to release. Now you could do the same side again, or you could switch sides. So for today, I'm going to switch sides, and I'm going to press my other knee into my hand. Now, really important with this to remember you're pressing your knee into your hand, and it's not your hand pressing into your knee. Sometimes, particularly if we equate this with a stretch, like it's very similar looking and feeling to a stretch that you can do in this place for your hip rotators. but it's not a stretch. Watch, we're at, it's pretty much the opposite really. We're doing a very, very small contraction. And let's switch sides. The movement you want to be feeling is this rotation happening in the hip here. So if you're using your foot against your other leg as a lever, you're getting rotation in the hip by the knee pressing forwards. So what we're doing is we are working on releasing spasm in the hip rotators. And a couple of deep breaths. We're going to do one more on the other side. Now the recommended number of times to do these, and this is through over 25 years of scientific research, is 4 on each side. So I'm going to switch. But what I'm going to do for today's little sequence is we're going to do 2 on each side, and then I'm going to put something else in between, and then we're going to do the other 2 on each side, and then finish with a little bit more movement. So we're just gently pressing that knee into the hand, finding a small 20% contraction. And again, taking a moment to take a couple of deep breaths in and out. If you're in UK or Europe, then maybe this is the end of your working day, so it can be a nice moment to take a little bit of relaxation. If you've been sitting at your desk all day, this is a fantastic one. So now let's bring the legs down. What I want to do now is I want to activate the inner thighs, so your adductors. I'm just going to come onto a little bit of angle to give myself some more space. I'm going to take my... let's actually keep the feet on the floor for a moment. So we're just going to open and close the legs, really thinking about squeezing in the inner thighs. So if this feels like enough for you right now, feel free to stay here. We're going to keep repeating it a few more times, but really think about that contraction on the inner thighs. So really engaging those muscles and making it a really active movement. If you'd like a little bit more, you can bring the feet up off the floor and do the same movement, opening and closing the legs, really thinking about squeezing those inner thighs together. And as you get a little bit warmer, you can even take the legs a little wider so that you've got a little bit more work to do. And then, of course, if you want a level 3 option, we can take the legs straight and do the same movement. So taking the legs as wide as you feel comfortable with, and really thinking about squeezing them together and activating the inner thighs. Let's do a little bit faster. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and bring the feet down. Good. All right, give them a little rub. And now we're going to cross the legs over. Again, we're going to do another 2 sets of the muscle energy techniques. So the reason we're working the adductors, and we'll be working the abductors in a moment, is that some of the rotator muscles also work as adductors and abductors. And the idea behind the complementary strength work that we do with these muscle energy techniques is to get the muscles to release further. So by contracting the muscle, we actually encourage the opposite muscle to relax. And let's switch sides. So if you think about your bicep and your tricep, they're opposite but opposing muscles. When you contract your bicep, the tricep relaxes to allow that contraction to happen, and vice versa. So the same thing happens pretty much with all muscles that are in pairs grouped around the body. So by working one muscle group, we're allowing the other muscle group to relax even further. So it's very complementary to these muscle energy techniques, and we generally tend to do them in tandem so that we can get the maximum release, but also strengthening at the same time. Okay, just one more on each side. You'll notice my 20 seconds is fairly arbitrary. Obviously, I'm talking to you. I haven't set a timer. When I first did these, I used to set a timer and time the 20 seconds exactly. But to be honest, I just do like to take a moment to take a couple of deep breaths. And either I count to 20 or I take a deep breath in for 3, out for 4, something like that. to get to the approximate 20 seconds. And remember, it's just a gentle 20% contraction to stimulate the muscles, send a bit of energy from the brain to the muscles in the hip to get them to release. One more side to do. Crossing that leg over, just relaxing for a moment and then gently pressing that knee into the hand. So if you've seen me do these before, I've been talking about these muscle energy techniques online for a little while. I'd love to hear from you. Have you been practicing them at home already, and have they helped you at all? I would love to hear about them. And if this is your first time doing this, I would love to hear from you afterwards how you found it. Okay, and release. So I'm just going to take a sip of water because I've got a frog in my throat. The joys of live video. Okay, so we're going to do another set of those thigh squeezes. So choosing your own adventure, either you're going to squeeze with the feet on the floor, or you're going to take your feet into the air, or you're going to straighten the legs. And make this one a little bit more dynamic now. So we're really going to squeeze, 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 squeeze. And taking the legs as wide as you feel comfortable with to give them a little bit more work to do. Let's do 8 more. 7, 6, 5, and 4, 3, 2, 1, and release down. Okay, so now we're going to come up onto our side. And you might need a little bit of space for this one for your legs. We're now going to strengthen the abductors now, abductors. Always have to think about it before I say those two because they sound so similar. So you can do this one on your elbow if you have any wrist issues, but I'm going to do this one on my hands today. This is how I usually do it. And what I'm doing is I've got my knees bent and my hand underneath my shoulder, and I'm lifting the hips up in the sides here. So it's kind of like a side bridge. I'm really thinking about using the muscles in the hips, squeezing them to lift up at the side. If this feels okay to you, you can progress it by taking the top leg straight, if you like. I'm really thinking about getting that hip down so that you've got a big range of motion to lift it. If you want to really challenge yourself, you can take the top leg up off the floor. A couple more like that. And release down. So you should feel it in the side here. You should probably feel it in your obliques as well. So you've got the added benefit of strengthening in the obliques. Although we're focusing on the side of the hip, this exercise has got some great other benefits. If you did the leg lifted version, you'll probably feel it on the other side too. So you've got a double whammy going on there. So let's come on to the other side. Again, making sure you've got enough space. Making sure you're really gripping the floor with your fingers and squeezing the muscles around your shoulder as well, so that you're not just sinking into your shoulder on this side. So let's start off. Even if you were doing the leg lifted version, let's start off here, so that just to kind of get a little bit of a warm up for the exercise. I'm really thinking about squeezing the muscles in the hip to lift it up off the floor. If you need to press the hip down in between each one to rest, that's totally fine as well. It can be a little bit intense, this one, to start off with. If you want to take the top leg straight, you can do a little bit more of a challenge. And anyone that wants to join me in the full version with the leg up off the floor for 3, 2, and 1. And bring it down. Good. All right. So that's it for our little sequence today. Let's just have a little look. See if you've had any release in the legs. Crossing the one leg over. And just allowing the leg to sit there. I definitely feel like I've got a little bit extra space on this side. You might not be able to see because I've got black leggings on. Perhaps not the best thing. But crossing it over onto the other side. Oh yeah, definitely on my left side for sure. I've got an improvement, and I already did this little sequence once this morning as well. So, so yeah, it's a really good one. If it only takes a few minutes to do this every day, I highly recommend saving this video and bookmarking it and coming back to it. If you haven't done these muscle energy techniques before, like I said, and you'd like to let me know what you thought about them, and if they had any nice loosening effects on your hips, then please do let me know. Please do tag me. I haven't seen any comments come up, but sometimes if people are commenting, I don't tend to see them when I'm online. Oh, I've got a thumbs up. No, that's another message. Okay, so yeah, please do tag me if you want to ask me any questions about these, or if you are interested in joining my Strong Motion program, which is a personalized coaching program looking at where you are at with your hip flexibility and strength using these muscle energy techniques. So this is just one of many techniques that we use to get your hips to release. And obviously we'll have a look at your shimmies and your belly dance hip work as well, because why not get some benefit for our dancing as well as releasing our hips for our everyday lives and making our hips feel released and loose and not tight anymore. So I haven't seen any questions pop up. Apologies if there is something, I'll answer it in the chat afterwards. Do give me a like or a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this. Please do share it with your friends if you found it interesting. I would really love this stuff to get out to more people, because not many people know about it. So it is something that's been around for a long time, but isn't, I think in physical therapy, clinical stuff, actually these techniques are quite well known, but not so much in the fitness world. So I'm going to stop rabbiting now. Thank you very much for joining me today, whether you've joined me live or whether you are on catch up, and I will see you next time. I'm actually going to be doing one of these every day this week. So if you want to jump on and join me, I think there's going to be 2 more workout sessions, Wednesday and Friday, I think. And then also I'll be talking about some mindset practice habit tips as well. So hopefully I will see you again another day this week. Take care. Bye bye.